Hey, what is up guys? So today we're going to be checking out a retro ban list over here. This was the August 2004 ban list just because it's pretty fun to check out what was banned at one point in the game. There was a lot of great cards that were actually hit on the August 2004 list. But anyways, let's go and check it out. So for cards that were newly banned, we had Imperial Order, we had United We Stand, Graceful Charity, Raigeki, Mirror Force was actually banned, Monster Reborn, Harpy's Feather Duster, Dark Hole, Chaos Emperor Dragon, Envoy of the End, and Delinquent Duel. Those were all hit on this list, and those are very, very powerful cards. If you guys didn't know, at one point in Yu-Gi-Oh! There wasn't really archetype. It was pretty much put all the broken cards into one deck, and then there was your deck. But these were some great cards that were hit on that list. But let's go and check out the full list over here because I think it's kind of interesting just to see what was banned at one point in the game. Keep in mind, guys, these are like before Synchros, before Exceeds, so if you wonder why isn't, a certain thing on this list, it's an old list over here. Anyways, so cards that were actually banned, we actually had Sangan was actually banned at one point, same with Witch of the Black Forest, and then Sangan obviously did come back later down the line, but Witch, she's still banned to this day. Same with Sangan now. Yatagarasu is actually still banned, but that wasn't actually changed. But that was the banned list for the monster cards on this list. The other cards I just wanted to show you guys real quick, because those were some huge changes in this game. And I don't think we've had a list where it really, really changed the entire game, like all the staples at that point pretty much changed. But as far as the spell cards, I already talked about Dark Hold, Delinquent Duel, Graceful Charity, Harpy's Feather Duster, Monster Born, Raigeki, and United We Stand. Those are all new, all in one list. And I think that it's kind of cool to get a completely revamped set of staple cards, so to speak, in the game. And then for the trap cards, Mirror Force and Imperial Order. So that was the ban list. These were all the cards that were actually banned on the list. But let's go and check out the limited list because some of these cards you guys will see and you'll be like, what the heck? Why would Konami hit them? But remember, guys, this is a different point at the game state. But anyways, so cards that were limited. We had BLS. Breaker was actually at one. Cyber Jar. This card is absolutely amazing, and this card can basically win games on its own. That card was actually limited. Of course, all of the Exodia parts, things. Of course, the Exodia had those also at one. Exile Force was also at one. That card was really good. It was basically just like a pop one card. Then we had Fiber Jar. Any of the jar cards pretty much in this game at this point have been banned. They've kind of tried to bring some of them back, but for the most part, they're either just way too watered down for their effects. And Jinzo was at one. If you guys don't know what the heck Jinzo was, I'm going to open up a tab for Jinzo because this card, he was a legend himself. This card, once this card came out in the game, you would summon Jinzo, and that was pretty much won the game. It was very difficult to come back from a Jinzo, but obviously things like Exile Force definitely helped out. But a Jinzo was a really rare card too. We also had Sinister Serpent, Twin-Headed Behemoth, the Tribe Infecting Virus, and then I'm not sure why Vampire Lord is on here. If you guys haven't seen what Vampire Lord does, I'm going to go ahead and briefly just check him out because most of these cards people probably never heard of or they'll never even bother playing. So it's a level 5 with 2000 attack, and when this card inflicts battle damage, your opponent declares one type monster spell trap, and your opponent sends one of that type from their deck to the graveyard, and then during your next standby phase, after this card in your possession was destroyed and sent to your graveyard by an opponent's card effect, special summon this card from your graveyard. Pretty weak because like a lot of times people would just tribute cards. They'd be like Change Your Heart, Brain Control, or just they would take your monster and they would essentially just be able to like, tribute it. So this card never really got its effect that often. But I mean, obviously there was cards like Dark Hole and Raigeki. Maybe he was able to come out, but I didn't think this card was ever really meta. But if you guys knew it was meta, what it was used, and let me know in the comment section below because I didn't really play at this time. I probably played on the Game Boys, and like their ban list was always psych wrong. Pretty interesting monster cards. Twin-Headed Behemoth was actually one of my favorite cards in the Game Boy games because it would just die, and then during the end phase, if this card was destroyed on the field and sent to the graveyard, you get a special summon it from the graveyard and makes its attack and defense 1000. That was pretty much irrelevant. Basically, this let you get out another monster so you can tribute. Tributing isn't really a thing in Yu-Gi-Oh! Anymore. Everything is just too slow when it comes to tributing, with the exception of maybe the new Monarchs, but this card was really good. It just let you tribute for like a Jinzo or let you tribute for other cards, so it's really cool in that aspect, but it's pretty much outdated by like all the cards that we have now. As far as spell cards at this point, Butterfly Dagger Elma was actually at one. This was a card that was used in a lot of loops. That's why that card is actually banned now. Card Destruction, Change of Heart, Confiscation, Heavy Storm, Mage Power, Mirage of Nightmare was actually at 1. This card, it just inherently has a poor design. Keep in mind, guys, that most of these cards didn't have the interactions that they would now if they were legal. This card is crazy over here. So it's once during your opponent's standby phase, you get to draw cards until you have 4 cards in your hand. And if you do, during the next standby phase, after that, randomly discard the same number of cards you drew or your entire hand if you do not have enough cards. Could you guys imagine this in certain decks now? Absolutely crazy. Maybe something like Infernities, you could just like draw a bunch of cards, and the next standby phase, oh, get rid of them all. It's just really, really cool. I know it's during your opponent's standby phase, but obviously there are cards where you can like discard a certain amount of cards in your hand, even if it's during your opponent's turn. But of course, if they're trap cards, you can activate them at any point after they've been set. But this card, it just opens up so many crazy interactions, and obviously it got banned later down the line. Pretty good with certain archetypes in different decks. Then we had Pottery was at 1. Now, this was really interesting when I saw this. Like, Premature Burial, Snatch Steal, I'm sure a lot of you guys, like, you could understand why that. But this card, like Forceful Sentry, obviously really good too. But then we have Swords of Revealing Light at 1. That's crazy, because we look at this card now, we're like, oh, that card's absolutely garbage. But then something interesting that I saw the other day when I was checking out this list, I was like, wow, Upstart Goblin was actually at 1 at that point, because now we pretty much run 3 in almost everything to make decks super consistent, but seeing that it was at 1, it just shows you that at one point Upstart Goblin was actually hit. And I know a lot of people actually want that card hit because pretty much it's letting you run like a 37 card deck, and that technically does give you more consistency, but it is there. Next up for trap cards, we have Call of the Haunted, Ceasefire, Magic Cylinder was actually at 1. Reckless Greed was also at 1, and that card, to this day, pretty much, it's like 3 or nothing. I believe the card is still at 3 in the TCG, but pretty interesting stuff over here. For semi-limited card, there were some other interesting choices here. We had Manticore of Darkness at semi-limited. I didn't understand this one, so if you guys want to comment on it and tell me why this card was actually at 1. It's a level 6 with 2300 attack, and during the end phase of the turn this card was sent to the graveyard. You can send to the graveyard 1 beast, beast warrior, or winged beast type monster from your hand or your side of the field to special summon this card from your graveyard. So the effect that this card has that's good is it basically brings itself out, but you have to go -1 essentially to bring the card out, and it also has to be sent to the graveyard during the end phase. So yeah, that could cause a lot of different problems because, you know, certain different phases, you know, interactions in the game. But I didn't understand why that card was on here. And then we also have Morphing Jar and Morphing Jar number 2. Actually, Morphing Jar was very, very powerful in certain decks like Dark World. But for the most part, that card, it's really dumb to be like, oh, I'm about to win the game, and I'll psych it's a Morphing Jar, then like the person draws a bunch of cards, especially if they were playing some type of stall deck. Those were the most annoying things to run into with the whole Morphing Jar thing. But the Marauding Captain was also at semi-limited. If you guys haven't seen him, this card over here, it's pretty cool. Really old little lock people used to do. It's a level 3 monster, and it says your opponent cannot target face-up warrior type monster for attacks except this one. When this card is normal summon, you can special summon 1 level 4 or lower monster from your hand. So a really cool combo was to go Marauding Captain, and then you would actually summon another Marauding Captain. And I believe this is how it was ruled, was that if you had 2 of them on the field, they couldn't attack you at all, because they couldn't attack either one, because they couldn't target face-up warrior type monster for attack except for this one, but the other card says the same thing. So it was kind of like a little lock. I know there was a lock with Solar Flare Dragon as well. That was a really cool lock, but that's really old. I thought it was really good back in the day. There's so many cards where we look at them and they're like, back in the day where they were actually good here. And then we have Creature Swap semi-limited, because taking other people's monsters was pretty strong in the game. And it's interesting to see Creature Swap here because we had cards, you can go up here, cards that were actually limited over here. We had the, where is it? The Change of Heart, and we also had Snatch Steal. But, you know, we gotta put that, what is it? The Creature Swap, we gotta put that too, because that's just too good. Nobleman of Crossout was actually a thing, because flip effects, guys. Oh, let me show you guys Nobleman of Crossout, because probably no one has ever seen this card, unless they played Yu-Gi-Oh! Like for a long time. Anyways, Nobleman of Crossout at one point was also limited. This card actually fluctuated quite a bit on the ban list. But anyways, it's a normal spell card that says you get to target 1 face-down monster on the field, destroy that target. If you do, banish it. Then, if it was a flip monster, each player reveals their main deck, then banishes all cards from it with that monster's name. So that was a really great thing to get rid of, like Man-Eater bugs, I don't know if Penguin Soldier was ever meta, but I remember in the Game Boy games, I used to play Penguin Soldier, and this card was pretty good against it because like sometimes Penguin Soldier would be like your quick out to like a big boss monster. So it's interesting just to see this. People were actually using this card against Shadalls too at one point. They were just running it, and also there's an older deck was called an Yados anti-meta deck, and they used to play that as well because they didn't really like to deal with those cards. But the last card I want to talk about here, because it's the last card on the list, is actually Last Turn over here. This card was absolutely crazy back in the day. So it is a trap card. It says this card can only be activated to your opponent's turn when your life points are 1,000 or less. Select one monster on your side of the field and send all other cards on the field and in their respective owner's hands to the respective graveyards. After that, your opponent selects and special summons one monster from their deck in face-up attack position and attacks your selected monster. Any battle damage from this battle is treated as 0. The player whose monster remains alone on the field at the end phase of the turn wins the duel. In any other case, results in a draw. There were so many cheese combos with this. Basically, let's go to the tips section over here. If you guys didn't know, there's actually some decent tips here in this, but there's a lot of cards where it says that your opponent can't special summon, or maybe that neither player can special summon. Guaranteeing a win was really unfair. You can go for Jowgen, you can go for Fossil Dyna. I think let's click on Fossil Dyna because it's more of a relevant card that players use, because Jowgen pretty much was only used in spellbooks. But Fossil Dyna over here, it makes it so neither player can special summon monsters. And if you go ahead and bust out the Last Turn over here, since everything's going to graveyard, you're going to have the only monster on the field, and everything else goes and it's was sent to the graveyard. It doesn't destroy it. Let me see. Yeah, you send all their cards on the field and in their opponent's hands to the graveyard. This card was just so game-breakingly good, but and you win the duel. That is absolutely awesome. But yeah, let me know, guys, what you think of some of the stuff that we've talked about here. Do you guys think that we should bring some of these cards back? Or, I mean, look at this, like Upstart Goblin. Oh, also, I think, yeah, Reinforcement of the Armor was also at 2 over here. I think Rhoda definitely needs to be hit, but kind of cool to see what was available in the game at an older time, because revisiting lists, sometimes just playing older lists are really fun to do. Like, I've been playing Teledad a lot on the stream, but it's a lot of fun to do mirror matches of some older decks so you can use some of your like fan favorite cards, and you don't have to deal with another pendulum summon 5,000 monsters every single turn kind of stuff. But anyways, let me know what you guys thought of this list, or were you surprised to see anything? For me, I'm really surprised to actually see Upstart Goblin. Like, I can kind of understand Reckless Greed, but you know what's funny here is Potter Greed's at 1, but you know, Upstart Goblin, that's also at 1. I don't know, Konami logic too strong in the game. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys. It's been your boy Will Smith, signing out.